Hi. Greetings, my Slim Samurai family. I'm Dr. Isaac Alexis from the Slim Samurai Group 84, helping you to slash through sickness and offering you a slice of health and wellness. I'm going to continue my discussion on opioid abuse. Today's video is opioid abuse, the 5 must-know signs. Before I continue, family, I need you to click on the subscribe, click on the like, comment, so I know future medical topics that we can discuss. Also, send this video to 25 of your friends. Schedule one-on-one consults with me in the description box. There's a link. Also, purchase wellness books in the description box as well. We want you all, family, to live above 100 years of age. Now, we're going to discuss the 5 must-know signs. But before we do, there's other important issues surrounding that. Now, as you have seen in my prior video, I mentioned this is a critical issue: opioid use, opioid overdose. Now, let's look at the stats for a moment. There are some 140 people dying daily from opioid overdoses every day. Prescription opioids like hydrocodone, oxycodone, morphine, and illicit opioids like heroin and fentanyl are potent drugs. They're very powerful. And they pose a risk of potential fatal overdose. Anyone who uses opioids can experience an overdose, but certain factors may actually increase the risk of overdose. Let's consider a few. Number 1, combining opioids with another sedative. Now you may be asking, Dr. Alexis, what are you referring to? What sedative could this possibly be? Well, let's look at alcohol, for instance. That's a sedative. Lots of people take the opioids with alcohol. They don't have a bottle of water right here. They will take it with a cup of beer. I've had patients tell me that that's how they take their painkillers from other physicians when they come for me to do their primary care. And I let them know, you don't want to take your pain pill with alcohol. That's a big no-no. It's got to be water that you take it with, water. And if you want water, there's a link below. I have fresh water that I offer as well. Number 2, risk of overdose is increased by taking high daily dosage. Taking dosages instead of 1 tablet of your pain pill every 4 hours, you decided now you want to take 2 tablets every 2 hours. That's going to predispose you to overdose. Number 3, taking illicit opioids like heroin and fentanyl that contains harmful substances. A lot of the fentanyl, it's deposited in some of that street heroin and laced with carfentanil, which I told you is 10,000 times more potent than morphine. Number 4, if you're having underlying medical conditions where your baseline oxygen is already compromised, having medical comorbidities such as sleep apnea, asthma, having anemia, you're not having enough oxygen. You're going to overdose even quicker. Even if you have kidney functions, you're not able to excrete byproducts out. It's going to build up to toxic levels, predisposing you to an overdose. Compromised liver function. Liver is the powerhouse in detoxifying, breaking down substances. If your liver is compromised, that increases risk of overdose. Also, age greater than 65. Biochemical processes slow down as we hit 65 and above. Now, your next question to me probably is, now, Dr. Alexis, how do opioids actually work in the body? Great question. Opioids activate specific transmembrane neurotransmitters. These receptors are called mu, kappa, and delta. These very important receptors work together with a molecule called a G protein. You may ask, what's a G protein? Very good. A G protein are molecular intermediaries that initiate intracellular communication processes. Without a G protein, your body won't be able to talk to itself and carry out critically important functions to keep you alive. You must have a G protein in each and every cell of the human body. It's critical. Now, next, there are different ways that mu receptors function in the body depending on where they are located. Now, activation of the endogenous, meaning the inner mu opioid receptors, results in the typical effects of opioids, involved with withdrawals, involved with being an analgesic. Activation of mu receptors in the central nervous system results in responses such as respiratory depression, analgesia, euphoria, just feeling like you're over the world, you're over the hill, you're feeling ecstatic. That's when mu receptors are activated from common opioids, for instance, being morphine and other similar type opioids. And also, another sign is pinpoint pupils. When you look into the eyes and the pupils of your eyes, which is the black portion of the eye, is very, very tiny and minute. Next, if you are stimulation of peripheral mu receptors, for instance, in the smooth muscles of the lungs, the bronchi, or the intestines, will give rise to cough suppression and constipation, respectively. Now, I'm going to mention something very important here. Now, there's something called genetic polymorphisms. That's various alterations in how genes are expressed in the human body and the biochemical processes that are associated with that variation in genetic display, shall we say. Now, between 1% to 7% of people have a genetic defect, placing them at increased risk of respiratory depression from small doses of codeine. This group has genetic variations for an enzyme called CYP2D6, which makes them metabolize codeine to morphine at an extremely rapid level, and as a result, at a very, very high dose. So just taking a simple cough medicine can give these people a fatal level of morphine in the bloodstream, possibly killing them from just several spoonfuls of cough medications. Now, we're going to go to the main topic here, the 5 signs of opioid overdose. I mentioned them before via how opioids work on the mu receptor in the human body. The 5 signs of opioid overdose. You'll look for small pinpoint pupils on clinical exam. Very, very tiny. The black portion of your eyes, left and right, are usually very tiny. Number 2, second sign, falling asleep, not able to arouse, unconscious. Number 3, shallow breathing. The person, they cannot take a full inhalation and a full exhalation. Number 4, pale blue or cold skin. Skin is very pasty. It's as white as my lab coat. I seen this some 3 years ago. Gentleman acutely overdosing, having pale, pasty skin, and extremely fatigued and lethargic. Of course, we treated him and saved his life. But these are very critical that you recognize these 5 signs of opioid overdose. I'm going to get to the 5th and final sign, opioid overdose. Next, and number 5, is a weak and slow pulse. Normal pulse range from 60 to 80. But in an acute opioid overdose, when you feel in the thumb portion, if you take my thumb and go all the way down to the base and go down another 3 inches, you're going to encounter what's called the radial pulse. That's the most used, your index finger and middle finger to touch the radial pulse. And many times that pulse is going to be very faint and very, very slow. It may be 30 beats per minute. It may be 40 beats per minute. And that's scary. That's scary. In a well-conditioned runner and athlete, it's okay to have a pulse of 40. I currently run myself 5 to 10 miles a day, and my pulse can go as low as 40. But in a person who has other signs and symptoms of drug use, you see needle tracks in the neck, in the arm, the wrist, the groin, and they typically develop abscesses in the groin, in the arm. People, when they're desperate to find a vein to shoot up heroin, they'll even use their rectum. I've seen cases of rectal abscesses, and they have to be admitted and be administered intravenous antibiotics in the ICU, the intensive care unit. Yes, this is how serious it gets. They're septic. They have a fever of 104.7. And so this is a very serious matter. So weak and slow pulse is the 5th thing that you need to watch out for. I'm going to discuss in my next video the 5 must-do things when you suspect opioid overdose. That's going to be my next module. Don't forget, family, my Slim Samurai family, click the like, also subscribe, also comment so I know what to discuss in the next video. Send this out to 25 of your friends. Signing off. I'm Dr. Isaac Alexis from the Slim Samurai Group 84, helping you to slash through sickness and offering you a slice of health and wellness. God bless.